Alright, what's up guys? This video is more directed to the developers of Arsenal today, as I'll be giving feedback on Arsenal and its current state. I'm hoping this feedback is useful and more organised than my past two feedback videos that I've made over the past 2 years. Anyway, let's just get right into the video. Alright, so I have 6 main sections of the game that I want to go through today, some which I'll split into subsections. These 6 sections of the game that I want to look at in this video are gameplay, exploiters, game performance, updates, progression, and communication from the developers. Let's start with gameplay. I'm going to split the gameplay section into 4 subsections. These are general, maps, game modes, and weapons. We'll start off with general gameplay, which I only really have 2 issues with. The first issue comes with 24/7 servers, in which my issue with 24/7 servers is that they can be quite hard to find for new players. What I feel like would be effective is to give a pop-up when the user opens the server browser that asks whether they are looking for 24/7 servers or just generic Arsenal servers. My second issue is that mobile players to this day still don't have a crouch button. This should be a pretty easy fix, as all the developers need to do is add a crouch button to the mobile user interface that works. Alright, now I'm going to go through maps for the gameplay section. One suggestion that I have is that some specific maps should be limited to specific team modes. Now I know this already exists in the form of some maps being locked to only 2 teams, however I would like to see an expansion of this, being that some maps can only be played on team modes like 4 teams and also free-for-all. I think that 2 good examples of the maps that should be limited are Ruins and Boulevard. In my opinion, Ruins is a decent map, especially since it's downsizing, however it still feels pretty slow paced when playing it on 2 teams. However, when I played it on team modes like 4 teams and free-for-all, it has felt perfect. This is why I feel like a map like Ruins should only allow you to play it on either 4 teams or free-for-all, instead of letting you play it on 2 teams. Another example of a map that I feel like should be limited is Boulevard. I feel like 2 teams again is fine, however, sometimes it can feel pretty slow paced. I feel like 4 teams is perfect for the map, because then you have 4 main sections of the map, those being the building with books, the coffee shop, the gas station, and also the car park. I feel like 4 teams would be perfect for this map, however I do feel like free-for-all would not be effective for this map. This is because I feel like it'd be a bit too chaotic and there'd be too much action. My next point for maps is that I feel like some maps are too detailed. This can create areas where you struggle to walk through areas without walking into random objects or shooting objects that are in the way. An example of one of these maps in my opinion is Ridge Park. Overall, I like the map and I like most of its layout, however what I don't like is that there are so many places for a player to appear from that it's chaotic. For example, the centre of the map has 4 different places where players can come from, and it's very unpredictable. Adding on to that, there's a pretty large section of the map that goes almost completely unused, that being the back area behind the building. The area I am talking about is currently being shown on screen. I myself have never seen anyone go towards this area, nor have I ever seen anyone spawn there. I feel like a perfect baseline for maps is farmland. This is because it has that perfect balance between nice details, which makes a map more interesting to look at, making you want to play it more, and also playability, making you want to vote for it and play the map more. Moving on from maps, I want to talk about game modes, which is obviously a key part of Arsenal. My first point is small, but I feel like it should definitely happen, as it won't take long to implement. I want to see a way for players without VIP servers to play game modes like the shooting range. I feel like in the menu, possibly next to the premium servers, there should be a button that allows you to go to your own solo shooting range server. This can allow for new players to learn the mechanics of the game and also learn how specific weapons work without struggling against players that are significantly better in public servers. Adding on to that, this brings me to another point which links loosely to game modes, that being servers. I feel like there should be servers added to the game, for example beginner servers, which only allow new players below possibly a specific level like 20 to play against other low level players. A perfect example of a game that already has this feature on Roblox is Combat Warriors. Adding on to that, it is known that playing on mobile can be significantly harder than playing on PC, hence why I feel like mobile only servers should be added, so it allows for mobile players to go against other mobile players to make it fair. Alright, my next point for game modes is again small. It is to fix broken game modes like sword fights. Right now the sword fights game mode, which is exclusive to VIP servers, just doesn't work. This is because currently the Firebrand melee doesn't seem to exist or work. I would love to see this work, as some players might actually get VIP servers for Arsenal just to play specific game modes with their friends, and if these game modes don't work, this can lead to people being quite upset in the community. Alright, my next and final point about game modes is pacing. Some game modes can be quite slow paced and quite painful to play. They start off fun when they're first added to the game, however shortly after they get boring and painful. Some examples of these kinds of game modes are hard mode, insane mode, and projectile party. When you first play them, it feels fun as they're new and it's different. However, over time, the more you play these game modes, the more boring and painful they become. I feel like an effective way of fixing this issue would be adding seasonal rotation of some game modes. This has worked well with Hackula in the past. This is because when Hackula was first added, it was a very different game mode and most people found it extremely fun. However, when it was coming to almost a month of the game mode being in Arsenal, people began to find it annoying. However, the developers did make the smart decision to have the game mode in rotation for next Halloween. Basically, this meant that it would be available during the Halloween update, and as soon as the update ended, it would no longer be in public rotation. Adding on to that, it could still be played in VIP servers, so for those who wanted to play the game mode, they still could. Adding on to that, I think this is where 24/7 servers could come into play quite effectively. What the developers could do is leave the game mode and the game modes list in the server browser and continue to allow people to create 24/7 servers for that game mode, so that players who want to play the game mode can play it. I think that the same should happen for game modes like hard mode, insane mode and projectile party. For example, making these game modes only available during, for example, the summer update. Okay, next I'm going to move on to weapons. I have quite a few points of weapons, so this could take a while. The first thing that I want to talk about is movement speed. However, I do feel like it would be nice for these two weapons to get a boost of movement speed or possibly range. The two weapons that I am talking about is the acid spitter and the flamethrower. These weapons are an absolute pain and annoyance to get. However, with both the acid spitter and the flamethrower, they only allow you to shoot at a specific range, which means on larger maps like Boulevard, when it's hard to get close to the enemy without them killing you, it's almost impossible to get a kill with these weapons. Adding either faster movement to these weapons or giving them a significantly larger range would help a lot, as it would allow you to get either close to the enemy or be able to kill the enemy from a range that actually makes sense. My next point only applies to what I believe is one gun, however it may be more. The point is to do with pull-out time, and it has always annoyed me since this weapon has been added. The weapon I am talking about is the Gatling gun. With most weapons in Arsenal, the average pull-out time is between 0.5 to 0.75 seconds with highs of 1 second. However, the Gatling gun takes an unbelievably long time to pull out with a time of 1.5 seconds. Now I do understand that it is a heavy gun and so it's meant to be realistic, however this feels completely unneeded. It can really ruin your flow of gameplay. My next point does link to another point that I'm going to be talking about later in this video. This point is primarily about weapons and game performance. This is mainly about laser weapons, in which the main culprit is the R800. I set all my graphics to the lowest inside of Arsenal and Roblox, and then I shoot the R800 by myself in a VIP server. I dropped from around 170 FPS to 140 FPS. This is a really big issue as this will stack. For example, if a laser tag starts with the R800 and everyone begins shooting it, this can really hit your FPS hard. I do however understand that over time laser weapons have already been optimized a lot, as they used to drop people's frames from 500 all the way down to 10, so I think the Arsenal community do appreciate the current optimizations. Moving on from that point, the next thing I want to bring up is again small, but I think it's really needed. I want to talk about the weapons that really shouldn't be in standard mode. So standard is meant to have all of the weapons in the game, however some of these weapons can really ruin the gameplay. A good example of one of these weapons is the golden musket. Its main issue is that it deals 99 damage to the body, therefore meaning you need a headshot to kill the enemy. This is not only a pain for experienced players, but especially a pain to new players, as not only do they already struggle to hit body shots, they especially struggle to hit headshots. Adding on to that, upon dying to the golden musket you'll be demoted, which is extremely annoying. Alright, that's the gameplay section over. Now I'm going to move on to the exploiters section. The first thing I and members of the Arsenal community wanted to mention is the lack of Arsenal moderators inside the European and Asian time zones. Now I understand the main system of banning exploiters is waiting for user reports and then banning them based off a report. However, I feel like it'd be effective to have moderators who just generally play Arsenal in these time zones, so in the case that they find an exploiter, they can just be banned without need for a user to report, as a large majority of the Arsenal community do not actually know that they can report exploiters. The next thing that I want to talk about in terms of exploiters is this super secret technology. I'm only going to go over it briefly, but yesterday when I asked the question of how exploiter issues could be solved at its core, Zone responded by adding a super secret technology. Now I'm hoping that this is effective as it sounds, however I would like to ask about an approximate time frame for when this technology will be added publicly to the game, as I believe it is useful for the community to be updated on when these important measures are added to the game. The final thing I want to talk about to do with exploiters is mainly an issue for content creators who stream the game, myself included. I often stream the game on public servers, and when I do, I am sometimes followed by exploiters who use kill all and also send inappropriate things inside the game chat. I've tried all measures to prevent exploits from joining my game, including but not limited to disabling joins, turning on streamer mode, disabling performance stats, hiding the screen when opening the server browser, hiding the game mode I'm in, and more. But no matter what I do, the exploiters will always manage to find the exact server I'm in and usually use the server browser to join me. I would like to ask what kind of things can content creators do, including myself, to stop these issues, as I would like to stream public servers and not only private servers. So that's all for the exploiters section. That was a significantly shorter section than the gameplay section, and this next section I'll go through is game performance. This section should also be pretty short. First, I want to talk about how game performance has significantly dropped over time. Back in 2022, on the same PC that I'm using right now with the exact same settings on the Matrix map while holding the exact same melee weapon, I get around 500 FPS. However, this year I've seen Arsenal's game performance significantly drop off. I've gone from 500 FPS all the way down to lows of 70 FPS, and when I'm streaming I can even get lag spikes down to 20 FPS. The main updates that have dropped my performance in game are the April Fool's update of 2023, which added Rainbow Team. After it was removed, my FPS didn't seem to be able to go back to what it used to get, and then after the game's event update, my FPS also seems to have dropped off significantly. The next game performance issue is really annoying and can seriously make Arsenal lose lots of new players. Sometimes when I've joined the game through either the play button on the website or through the in-game server browser, I've gotten past the main Arsenal loading screen. However, then it takes all of my data around a minute to load, which shouldn't happen. I am basically soft locked in the game with the text where it displays my name and level showing loading, and also the skin being stuck as delinquent. Adding on to that, it doesn't let me press any of the buttons on the main menu except for the premium servers button until eventually the game finishes loading. The final thing that I want to talk about to do with game performance is the extremely huge ping spikes I randomly get inside of Arsenal. Now I want to mention that this has absolutely nothing to do with my internet. I've run a speed test while writing this script and here are the results. Adding on to that, other players experience these ping spikes. Before I continue, I just want to mention that the highest ping for some reason Arsenal displays is 511. Press shift and F3 and then you'll be able to see your actual ping. Anyway, randomly, while I've been playing Arsenal, I've been getting random ping spikes that last between half a second to 2 seconds. They've always been completely random and sadly I don't have any clips of them, but I can guarantee you that this does happen and they only happen in Arsenal. I would give proper feedback for this, but of course I don't know the root issue as to what causes this. That's the game performance section over. Now I want to move on to the update section. This is by far the shortest section in the video. First I want to talk about recent updates this year. This section excludes Roblox event updates, which are the Hunt, the Classic and the Games. I'll talk about these separately. In my opinion, and to a large portion of the Arsenal community, the updates have been extremely repetitive this year. On the 2nd of January, we got the Galactic update, which was a surprise to the community and was very well made and it was a very fun update. It included a brand new battle pass system, lots of cosmetics, maps, weapons and more. After that, a few weeks ago, we got another update which included basically the same as the Galactic update, just with less content. It had a battle pass which used the exact same system, some new maps and a few cosmetics. Overall, the update felt quite disappointing as it had very little content and it generally just felt like it was a repeat of the last update. I feel like what would have been nice for this update is possibly again a new system for giving out items, or possibly it'd be nice to see the wheel spinning and the ticket system come back. Adding on to that, the progression of getting items in this update felt slow and boring. Collecting coins by just getting kills with only 2 contracts available to complete in this update was pretty slow and boring. It would have been nice to see more contracts in this update in order to get more coins. Next, I want to talk about the lack of updates this year. First, I do have to give credit to the developers as they have been focusing hard on the Roblox events such as the Hunt, the Classic and Games. These updates have seen huge player counts with very positive player feedback. The gameplay of these updates have been extremely fun and refreshing, and I think we would all love to see more of these kinds of updates without the need of Roblox having to do an event to get this kind of content. Anyway, now I want to talk about the updates that were mainly made for Arsenal players. This year was disappointing. In total, we got 2 updates. We didn't get the St. Patrick's, Easter or April Fool's or any other seasonal updates that we usually get. Adding on to that, there was an entire 7-month gap between the 2 updates this year, and they were mainly just cosmetic changes. I think what would be nice would be if we can get the Roblox styled events like the Hunt in Arsenal for Arsenal players, rather than a Roblox update. For example, it would be nice to get a campaign or story mode sort of game mode in Arsenal. It is nice, however, that we are able to replay some of the other events, except for the Classic event, in which I'm assuming that this will be playable some other time soon. What I think would be nice is to have a dedicated menu for past Roblox based events, so it is easy to find and access them, rather than having to find them in completely random places, as right now, the games is featured on the main menu, the Classic isn't even here, and the Hunt is in the extra game mode section. That's the update section finished. Next, I want to talk about progression in Arsenal. The first thing that I want to talk about is leveling. Previously, Arsenal leveling didn't have an XP cap. This allowed for game modes like randomizer, if you were skilled enough, to give you lots of XP. In my opinion, this system was effective as it allowed skilled players to gain more XP than less skilled players. Over time, these less skilled players would learn the game and therefore the amount of XP they gained would also go up quicker. Now however, the XP cap has been added, therefore making it useless to get lots of kills in game modes like randomizer. I do however want to acknowledge that I do believe that this is an exploiter prevention, as there used to be exploiters that were able to gain thousands of levels in just a few days. I feel like a nice system to use would be a system that keeps the XP cap but increases it significantly, as right now gaining XP in Arsenal can feel extremely slow. The next thing that I want to talk about to do with progression is the lack of things to work towards. This has always been an issue in Arsenal, as after getting all the skins, melees, weapon skins, etc, you have nothing to work towards in Arsenal. What I feel like should be added to Arsenal is level and or kill based skins. Basically, by hitting a specific level or getting a significant amount of kills, you should be rewarded with an exclusive cosmetic for that level or kill count. I feel like this would be effective, as it would give Arsenal players something to work towards and it would feel more rewarding since it's an exclusive item. Now, I was originally going to suggest a sort of prestige system, however I have realised that this would not work, as if you had a prestige system that removed your cosmetics, this would make players lose all of their cosmetics that are exclusive and can no longer be obtained. If a prestige system was added to Arsenal, it would need some serious thought. Next, I want to talk about 24/7 servers. This feature was extremely hyped up, as lots of Arsenal players wanted to see this feature. It was eventually added, however it had one main flaw. This was XP. When playing 24/7 servers, you only gain a very little amount of XP compared to normal servers. To my knowledge, again, this is another exploiter prevention to prevent exploiters from sitting in 24/7 servers gaining infinite XP. However, this has once again affected the general player's experience and has put off a lot of people from playing these 24/7 servers, as they feel like they are gaining nothing out of playing in these servers. My next point of feedback for progression is to do with crates. I want to start off by mentioning that I do know that the developers are already planning to find a replacement for crates. Of course, right now the main issue with crates in Arsenal is that they have been banned for some users. For example, crates are disabled in Belgium, the Netherlands, and for users in the United Kingdom who are under the age of 18. Now, this impacts a small part of the Arsenal community, however it does have a huge impact for these players, as it completely prevents them from obtaining melees, emotes, gun skins and more. The only way they can obtain these items is from gift crates, the daily shop, and randomly receiving skins at the end of each game. Now, in the case that crates are unable to be replaced, I think that a system to gift specific crates rather than only being able to purchase the gift crate would be really useful, as it would allow players to gift melees and other currently unobtainable items for users in the regions where crates are banned. Finally, I want to talk about the communication from the developers. I'm first going to talk about the past. The past, mainly back in 2021 to 2023, was filled with lots of false promises from the developers. They said they would add things and in the end, it was too much and they could not deliver. However, they have seemingly stopped this behaviour, however they have since replaced it with being almost silent, giving near to no communication at all. This of course leaves Arsenal players in the dark about the future of the game. It also makes it very hard to be a content creator, as I try to make news videos for this game, however if there's no news then I can't make any content on Arsenal. What I think the developers should do to fix this issue without going back to overhyping things and saying false promises is saying things that they know they can do and they know they will add. Basically things that are guaranteed to come to the game. If they can do this, the community will probably be very happy. Next, I want to talk about something that Zone has recently done. On Twitter the other day, he posted a free emoji followed by the question mark emoji. Now if he did this back in 2022, like he did with the A2 emoji, it would be very hyped up and people would be trying to guess what it is. In the end, it turned out to be Arsenal Reloaded. However now, doing this, it's just not fun. People don't really want to go on an entire hunt trying to find out the meaning of two emojis, and they'd rather get a direct statement from the developers of what is happening and when it's happening. In my opinion, I think it's a lot more effective to just say what is coming without being so cryptic about it. Finally, I want to talk about the Arsenal Reloaded Trello. When this was used, it was really effective. It kept the community up to date with an easy to understand indication of where Arsenal Reloaded is. However, we have once again been left in the dark. The last time the Trello board for Arsenal Reloaded was updated was all the way back in June of 2023, which is much over a year ago. I think that the Arsenal community would prefer a transparent look into how the development for specific updates for not only live Arsenal, but also Arsenal Reloaded are going. This also means that the developers have to answer less questions about things, since it's all publicly available on an easy to understand board. This is overall a win-win situation if they continue to update the Trello board. So yeah, I hope this was useful to the Arsenal developers. I also want to let the developers know that not everyone agrees with each other, and some people that watch this video may think my ideas are completely stupid. There is no way to satisfy the entire community, because everyone has needs, but rather I think the best mindset to have is to try to make the majority of the community happy. My entire video document that I've used, including a list of everything I've talked about in this video and the video script, will be available in the description. I'll see you on the next one. Have an amazing day guys, and goodbye.